I honestly don't even know where to start with this. But I guess it really began when I was just a little kid. Whenever you think of the word childhood, you can imagine the fun times, and you're absolutely so damn lucky to have that. My childhood was a living nightmare. My entire childhood was dominated by what could only be described as the living image of the devil himself. You see, I was diagnosed with hypnagogia, a disorder that causes severe hallucinations that occur when one attempts to sleep, or at least that's what I was told. I never believed any of their bullshit. I had reason to, of course. Every night I went to sleep. This creature showed up at my bedroom window. It was a thin-like creature with unnaturally long arms. Its legs curved back like those of a dog. Its skin bleach white. Its eyes just two gaping holes, filled with an endless darkness. It would place its bony fingers against the window and peer into my bedroom and stare at me. Every time it happened, I froze. I couldn't move or scream. I was told it was just one of my hallucinations. But how could a hallucination leave fog prints on a window? After months of therapy and experimenting with different kinds of medications, the hallucinations stopped. Fast forward 17 years later, I'm a 22-year-old man out in the world. I live by myself in a modest little house that I worked hard for. I was happy with my life. I don't understand why things had to turn out this way. I was sitting on my couch watching TV when I looked at my phone. 12:07. Shit, I thought to myself. I have to work tomorrow. I turned off the TV and made my way to my bedroom. With my jeans and t-shirt still on, I threw myself on my bed. I was too tired to change. I closed my eyes and automatically felt something was wrong. I felt like I was being watched. I looked up at the window and felt my heart drop. It was him. That same goddamn thing that tortured me as a kid. It looked exactly the same as it did when I was little. Same bleached white skin, same two gaping holes and bony complexion. I felt myself freeze up. It was like that the entire night. I was too scared to move. Eventually the sun rose and the creature backed away from the window and crawled away. I remember passing out after it left. This continued to repeat over a span of 4 weeks. I didn't understand why this was happening. It would watch me the entire night, and I'd pass out in the morning from exhaustion. I lost my job after my boss got tired of me not showing up. I tried boarding up the windows, but upon my return they would be removed no matter how many times I tried. I fell asleep on the couch and woke up in my bedroom on one occasion, with that thing at my window, of course. There's no running from it. I had no idea how bad things were about to get. One of the nights, the thing crawled up to my window, and instead of placing its hands against it, it put them at the bottom of it. I wasn't sure what it was trying to do until I heard the loud screaming of the window being pulled up. That damn thing was trying to get into my room. He doesn't open it all the way, just a little every night, with every night being opened just a little more than the night before. That was 2 weeks ago. Last night he opened it to the point where it was opened almost all the way, but not quite. He needs it opened all the way to get in, and I know what's going to happen tonight. That's why I'm sitting here on my bed typing this. The sun's starting to go down. It's going to be night soon. I'm tired of fighting this. It's weird knowing with every key I type that it's going to be one of my last. I know now it's not a hallucination. I've always known. Why they lied to me, I don't understand. I have to go. I could hear him approaching my window. Living on the 12th floor wasn't bad. The view over the busy city was pleasant to look at. The only problem was those elevators. I have bad sinuses, you see, and the pressure of descending quickly gives me headaches. But it passes, so it's an easy sacrifice. I waited for the elevator to arrive on my floor. It always takes a while. After a while, I got impatient and started fumbling around with my pockets. While I was fondling the keys in my pocket, I realized one of the elevators had already arrived, doors wide open even. I hadn't heard the ping of the floor indicator, nor heard the doors creak open. I shrugged it off and went inside. I should have left the elevator then and taken the stairs. The air was immediately denser, hot, and sticky. The faint stench of onions tickled at my nostrils, but I figured it was some dirty neighbor's lingering odor. Again, I had noticed that the doors had moved without my noticing, as the warm, natural light was now gone. The elevator jumped for a second before descending. The creaking of the walls and cables jolted my nerves. The pressure in my ears slowly began to build, although this time, it gradually formed into a horrible migraine, pushing in on my temples. The floor indicator reads 12. How was that possible? The elevator was obviously broken, and suddenly I feared it would drop. The trip was taking much longer than expected, and I was very eager to get off this fucking thing. But it kept rattling as it went further and further down. The lights flickered out and died, leaving me in complete darkness. The air was getting noticeably heavier, and the smell of decaying fruit filled my nose and mouth. It was almost too much to bear. I began to cough and gag. I needed to escape. I began banging on the walls, shouting, screaming for help, but nothing. No reply. It was as if the metal casing had taken me somewhere else. The elevator suddenly bounced and lurched to a stop, the sound of its shrieking brakes echoing through the shaft. The indicator displayed a bright red G, the only light I could see. How long did it take? Doesn't matter. At least I'm going to get out. The doors shuttered and crept open. There was barely any light in what looked like a lobby, but I could make out something wet coating the walls. A red, spongy fungus. There were no people in sight, only a few discarded items of clothing, bags, and groceries. I slowly ventured out into this dark room, the floor squishing beneath my steps. I felt a slight breeze coming from just ahead, so I inched forward to discover the source. I could just make out a large black hole in the center of a large hall. Emanating from the gaping maw was the heavy sound of something breathing. Something behind me clinked. I spun around to see a mug rolling on a table, and what looked like a pale foot disappear into a doorway. Quiet tapping echoed all around me. Wherever I am not alone. I awoke with a start. I was in my bedroom on the second floor, down the hall. My eyes were bloodshot, my muscles tense. This wasn't the first time I awoke up in the dark of the night in my Arizona home. I reached to my right to grab my handgun, but it was gone. Dissipated into thin air. I scooted my hand all across my side table, looking for my mag light, but that had also disappeared. I sat up, frozen with paralyzing fear. My eyes had adjusted to the dark, but everything was just the same as it had been, except for one thing. My handgun and mag light were on my side table, on my left, instead of my right. I casually rolled out of my bed and turned the light on. I didn't sleep that night. I looked towards my door, terrified about the events that occurred. I looked all around the room, trying to see what had moved my possessions. I looked to my left, and my gun and mag light were gone. Again. I turned my head, and there they were, on my right side table. Shocked, I snatched up my gun and checked the magazine. It was empty. The bullets were spread around the floor, in a V formation. I immediately grabbed my phone, which was dead, after being charged all night. I knew something was wrong. I jumped out of my bed and reached for the bullets. Just as I did, I heard creaks from my attic just above me. Dust fell from my roof. I froze. I stayed silent and still. I slowly reached for the bullets again. Just then I heard another creak. I stopped going for the bullets slowly and scooped them up as fast as I possibly could. The creaks moved as fast as me. The last creak was at the end of my room. I grabbed my gun and loaded it with the bullets. I sprinted to my closet and put on my pants and boots. I locked my bedroom door and barricaded it with my side tables. I stood in my room for 4 hours. I laid down and I fell asleep. When I awoke, the tables were back in place and my boots were off, but the door was still locked. Nothing else had been moved. I was angered, furious that this had happened. Why me, I thought. Then the attic creaked again. I got so fed up and I fired into the attic, where I heard the creak. After that, nothing moved in my room, and I had heard no creaks. I still don't know what had happened, or if it is even over. Try this. Turn off the music. Turn off the TV. If you have to, turn off the computer. Then go into another room and sit in total silence. Do you hear that? That ringing? People say it's your brain making up a sound to explain the silence. People lied. I can't tell you what is making that sound, but whatever it is, you don't want to meet it. It is trying to break through, force its way into our plane of existence. Now try this. Repeat the first steps. Turn everything off. This time, turn the lights off too. Still hear the ringing? You better hope so. If you don't, it's because they have finally managed to break through. Break through and into your head. And no amount of running will save you.